It is my pleasure to introduce Maria Joel Carstarphen. I could tell you, I'm actually going to say something about her, okay? I could tell you all sorts of things, that she has been superintendent of Atlanta Public Schools for nearly 2 years, or that she was a superintendent of Austin, Texas from 2009 to 2014, or that she served as superintendent of the St. Paul Public Schools district in Minnesota, or worked for Washington, D.C. I could also tell you she got her doctorate at Harvard's Graduate School of Education after earning degrees in political science and Spanish from Tulane University and a master's in education from both Auburn University and Harvard University. I could tell you all that. I could also tell you that she began her career as a middle school teacher in her hometown of Selma, Alabama, and how she worked with elementary school children in Seville, Spain, and Caracas, Venezuela. But instead, I thought I'd share with you some insights that are not on her bio. Last year, I had the pleasure of going to Selma, where I saw how Maria's hometown has helped define who she is. She received the inaugural award from the Sullivan and Richie Jean Sherrod Jackson Foundation, the namesakes of the foundation that opened their doors to civil rights leaders who were trying to make sure African Americans could exercise their right to vote. But what even, and I also got an opportunity to meet her father. And you can understand Maria much better if you know her father, who was as proud a man as I've ever seen on that day. Another thing that you may not realize or may not know is that Maria Carstarphen is one of us. And by that I mean she's a former journalist, and I think she approaches life as a journalist to this day. She was a journalist for National Geographic, the Selma Times-Journal, Southern Living, and other publications. She showed me an article in National Geographic that was published after the 35th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March. She had shot all the photos in that article, and it was of portraying the people of Selma and how they were recognizing that moment in time. As both a student and a teacher in Selma, Maria Carstarphen told me that the Selma to Montgomery March was not part of the curriculum. It was not part of anything that they learned in school. So it just so happened that on the eve of the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March, the movie Selma came out. And Maria was able to lead an effort that included a lot of businesses to contribute money so that every APS high school student could go see Selma and have it be part of their curriculum. It was a wonderful closing of a circle. This is how I've gotten to know Maria Carstarphen. She is on a mission to transform Atlanta's public schools. With her, it's all about the students. And she wants our students to come out whole, not broken, to come out hopeful, not hopeless. Welcome back to the Atlanta Press Club, Maria Carstarphen. Thank you.
I love me some Maria Saporta. And my dad adores you. You are the 5th girl in the family. So just know you always have a place when you come to Selma. It is true. I can't tell you what pride it gives me to go back to the Jackson family and be with the local folks of Selma and see my Aunt May and Uncle Calvin in photographs that they have in the museum, supporting the civil rights leaders when they weren't as famous, they weren't as supported, and they weren't in history in the way that we think about them today. So I have a lot of pride about from where I came. And I do think that that background is deeply connected to Atlanta, and it is in part a big reason why I chose, no matter what the context, although I didn't know everything at the time, that I wanted to come back to the Deep South, and I wanted to do my part, given everything that I've learned, everything that I've done, everything that I believe I can contribute to the experience for children and for my colleagues who are working on the front lines with kids every day, and change what had happened in Atlanta Public Schools. It is true. Just 2 years ago, I think I was standing in this spot or somewhere over there, and this talking to this very group. But it's interesting, when I went back and looked at the speech, I didn't realize I wasn't even the superintendent at the time. So this is my first press club speech as the superintendent. So there you go. And it has been some kind of journey. It's been a journey where we're striving for equity, where we're working so hard to be closer to autonomy and flexibility for our schools. We want to increase the quality of the experience for our staff and students by being sure that we're efficient and doing a great job as much as we are improving the kind of programs and work that we're doing. We want to do further investment in those things that work, not the things that people have as sacred cows in our district and are tied to some past bad behavior of APS. But at the end of the day, we most want to provide choice-filled lives for our students. And that's what I want to end up making super clear to you today and showing you the path and the journey that we've been on. And it has been a journey of transformation, as Maria mentioned. It's been mostly a cultural transformation where we're asking adults inside and outside of the district to actually put away their adult agendas and get focused on a child-centered mission. And everyone who's been in this work knows that culture is the last thing that changes. But for APS, I have every expectation that it is riding side by side with us in the work. We cannot wait until the end to see that definition of culture change. And so I want to tell you about that journey. I want to tell you where we traveled. And I'll do a quick snapshot of the last 2 years, but I want to leave you with a clear understanding of where we are right now and what's immediately ahead. And when I did speak here, I did express that me personally, the team that I was recruiting, the people that were working in the system and with APS that were kind of hanging in there with us through the thick and thin, we were all super excited. I mean, really excited. We felt like we had a unique opportunity to galvanize and tease out all those things that APS could be great for as it relates to its contribution to this city, to be great, to be an international, global, metropolitan American capital city in the way that it should be. And I still believe that, and I'm still excited about that. And we've had a lot of bumps in the road getting there, but that only happens when that old culture comes knocking at the door. And I knock back pretty hard. So, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that too. But when I came, after I came and spoke to folks, we kind of went under the radar and tried to get as much work done, thinking about all those things that people were bringing to the table about the past. And we had to work on that. We had to fix some of the things that we inherited. But the piece kind of shifted a little bit when I came and spoke to the community for the state of our district. It was in October. We're several months past that now. But that's where I really kind of came forward with what I believed was the state of affairs or the state of the system. It is in desperate need of transformation. It means that we have to do business differently with fidelity and transparency, that we have to support our schools with that flexibility and autonomy, and that when we talked about our children and we did our work, they would have quality and excellence in the programming and in the way that their families experienced Atlanta Public Schools. So that meant we had to grow and grow fast, that we had to lead with courage, even though I know a lot of people have been throwing shade on APS, that we needed to transform with our vision about being a high-performing school district where students love to learn, teachers inspire, that community wants to engage, and that everyone can trust Atlanta Public Schools again. And so when I talk about the journey, I want to know who's on the journey with me. So raise your right hand, raise your left hand. Oh, see, he's not doing it because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is so 2014. I've been here with the right hand, left hand. Do you know what I'm about to do? No? Okay, so good. But this is my point, right? My point is this. When we started in 2014, we did not have a vision and a mission for the district. The board actually had to work on that because no one could articulate where we were going and what we were supposed to do every day. So while, yes, I'm going to teach it to everyone again, the point is for most of the people in this room, they know that that was like 2 years ago. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that we're not learning our mission as much anymore. We're living it. And I'm going to give you some examples. But before we go, because the cheap seats in the back with the guy who looks like, I don't know why I'm here and what she's talking about, is going to raise his right hand. There you go. Everybody, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. That's your other hand, baby. Left hand, both hands. Now wave them in the air like you just don't care. If you want to transform APS, say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Call and response with a caring culture of trust and collaboration. Every student will graduate. Ready for college and career. That's what we do. That is our commitment every day. That is called a mission, and that is why APS is different. When regular folk all up and down Atlanta can start saying that and knowing that we mean something when we say you graduate, you have a diploma, and it's a high quality experience for kids, then we know we're really on the track for achieving our vision. But, you know, the journey, the living the mission is really where I feel like we are today, 2 years later. So for those of you who are still learning, keep learning. But the living is where we really expect the district, the folks inside the system, to be doing every day. And I anticipate that folks outside may not be there just yet, but we have to be there sooner rather than later. So let's break down the mission, right? The first part was with... I'm asking you. Come on now. With a caring culture. I'll stop right there because it seems to be okay. So with a caring culture, we've invested in social emotional learning. This is where we have over 25 of our schools already changing our practice on the way we implement behavioral health supports. By the fiscal year 18, we'll have it across all of our schools in the district. And this is why culture is so important. We're teaching adults and students on how we expect them to behave and engage and take responsibility for what actually happens in our schools, on our school buses, on sidewalks as we walk home and get into our cars and go home. In other words, we want all of the people in APS to have the hearts and the smarts to be better people than they were yesterday. The next piece of the mission was with a caring culture of trust. And how do you build trust? You trust because when I say I'm going to do something, I go do it, and you can see evidence of it. And so we're doing things tied to equity, but the idea is with CRCT remediation and enrichment, which you heard from Frank about, was all about us making sure that we address what has happened in the past. We said we're going to help kids who were part of the cheating scandal, and we are helping. We put $9 million into those remediation and enrichment efforts, and in other words, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We also did things like pay parity. APS didn't have a good reputation for paying its people correctly, paying them on time, paying them for any professional development they're doing. She's nodding because she must work for us. But we are fixing it. It's a $30 million problem. We're $15 million into it, and we have commitments to see that all the way through. And then there are baby things about trust that have to happen. Like we had elementary schools with kids in it that didn't have playgrounds. We said we would fix it. The board approved some changes in our SPLOST dollars, and there you go. We have all of our playgrounds up for kids to play in today. It sounds small, but that's how you build trust. So with a caring culture of trust and collaboration, Penny, collaboration, this is about you. We have 172 new partnerships for Atlanta Public Schools, and you're one of them. And over a dozen are actually Fortune 500 companies. We've earned about $27 million in new grants. And I want to say that we're not counting in that the $20 million investment that the Woodruff and Whitehead Foundations came together to dream up and invest in as it related to ensuring that our kids would actually have not only supports and advising for college and college, but they could get to and through college with that investment and with scholarships. So we're incredibly grateful for that partnership. But there are other ones. We have over a $3 million partnership with Atlanta Technical so that we can focus on career technical education. We have a $7.4 million grant with the National Institute of Justice, West Ed, and Georgia State to work on improving safety and security in our schools. So there is a lot of good work going on in our collaboration space. And then, of course, when you talk about these things, we have the piece that is so important, and that's the part about having our kids be ready for college and career. The career piece has been a little slower, but it's catching up pretty quickly. But the college piece has been, I think, the showcase of the work that we've been able to move on. Our graduation rate saw about a 12.4 percentage point increase in our first cohort impact area. Not all of that was APS, but a lot of it was, at least half. And so I think that that when we think about living the mission, these things that I just highlighted are the things that actually show that we are doing what we made our commitment to do every day in our job. So I'm incredibly proud of that progress around college, career, and graduation. But we know we have a lot more work to do. And so the vision and mission is actually set by the board. Two of our board members are here, the chair of the board, Courtney English, and Matt Westmoreland. Our other board members are absolutely committed to doing this work too. They do show up for their board meetings. I feel like I got to say that because I've been in places where they don't. But they show up for their board meetings. You know, people take votes as tough as they are. And we're constantly having conversations about governance and implementation so that things are monitored better so that we never end up repeating the past as we've experienced it in Atlanta. I also have a great team. David Jernigan is my beloved deputy superintendent. Angela King-Smith is the best special assistant you could ever ask for. Jill Strickland is also here with her communications team. Many of you know her from back in the day, but she's an outstanding mom and is my right-hand person for getting through all the trauma and drama of working with the media in Atlanta, and the joy. And then Katie McDowell, I know you were with me. Thank you so much. She is really the heart behind the work we've been doing in partnerships, and we wouldn't be where we are, including our relationship with CIS, if it weren't for Katie McDowell. So thank you all, for your contributions. And we have great partners in the room today. I said hi to Penny, but also I know the Metro Chambers here. I saw Power My Learning. Who else? United Way, but they're different folks. I know I haven't named everyone, but it's because of you that we've been able to take some of these tough issues and really start diving deep on them in a way that solves the problem. I don't know if Gears is here today, but they are, as an example, our right-hand partner in getting our rethink around what the space should be for Atlanta Public Schools in early childhood education. And I know that we can't do these things alone, so thank you for our partners, and thank you to the media for actually trying to cover these stories and getting this information out to the public. But yes, 22 months ago when I started and I said that, that I think Atlanta Public Schools is a district in need of transformation because we're not living up to the potential of our kids. And that has to be what we fix, if you will, at the heart of our problem. Transformation is never popular. Having done it a few times, it's never comfortable. And the part about Atlanta and Georgia that I think is most important for all my experiences is that it absolutely does not come with the luxury of time. We just don't have the time to do all that we need to do under the high-stakes accountability that we have. It started with the operating model, making those changes, but it is also coming to a head with the state takeover opportunity school district. And so I would say that while there's been a lot of reporting on that, implying that APS is, kind of is doing this work because of the OSD, I do beg to differ. I think I was hired. I think the board was elected. I think we were brought together as a leadership team to do transformation for Atlanta Public Schools because the public believed we had failed our kids for far too long. So the runway has always been short. It got accelerated when the OSD came on the scene. But that didn't stop us from, doing our work. So in the last 6 months, we've been out there talking to our community. And to make a long story short, in the budget that you will see that will be voted on tonight is about $23.6 million toward our turnaround efforts for our schools. That is one of the most significant investments that we've made in years, I think. I know that one of our partners is Purpose-Built Schools. I saw Greg Gianelli checking in. Hey, Greg. They are also at the heart of our turnaround effort for one of our clusters. And you can anticipate that Atlanta Public Schools wants to be doing maybe not that, but more of whatever it is that's going to help us build our capacity faster and do our turnaround sooner rather than later so that everyone can be on track and we can build from a solid base so that we can remove all barriers for the future. And that's what I kind of want to say as the next piece of what the APS journey is. Once we started with transformation, I think everyone understands that it was really anchored in this concept about equity. It's about providing remedies for the past and then removing all barriers for children in the future. And when you really do the deep dive in equity, that's where you see the turnaround strategy. Tonight, when we do the $743 million budget, tentative budget adoption, which is up about 5% from last year, it is for good reason. It is because we believe that to address equity, you're going to need, yes, do turnaround, but you're also going to have to do things to help with culture. You're also going to have to keep paying for pay parity and making sure that we address those things like the CRCT remediation and other areas that we know were part of our equity definition. And we don't want to be stuck in the past, but we know we can't just shake loose of it so easily. We have to actually fix it and then move forward with building that new future. And so the new future is going to include APS working toward autonomy and flexibility. Is Mario up there yet? There he is. Mario is one of our principals from Brunch Middle School, but he has been a leader along with a lot of other principals in helping us rethink our model for how we actually do our allocations to schools. So we want to push more dollars into the hands of schools, the new governance teams under our operating model, and giving the school-based leadership more teeth to make decisions about what happens in schools. But autonomy and flexibility is going to come to life in a very real way starting July 1st. That is when the state is expecting us to be in full implementation of the approved plan that we submitted over a year ago. And so it was important that when we went into this budget conversation for fiscal year 17 that we put our money where our mouth is. And we redirected about $18.6 million into flexibility, school flexibility, cluster flexibility, and ensuring that on top of all of that, we were able to give signature funds to the programmatic high school flagship direction of those clusters. That is also up from last year, but we believe that it's a core investment to seeing our turnaround on a much larger district level actually take place. And then we wanted to, as part of the APS journey, continue to make improvements on quality while also increasing efficiency. And so we've received a lot of feedback from the public that folks thought central office was still very bloated. We also heard things like, you needed to, if you're going to have programs and departments, they needed to be quality programs and departments. So in our revenue collection, we are expecting about $13 million in growth, and we appreciate that, and that's an uptick in tax collections. That's going to be part of it's the Beltline money and some other things. But we felt like even though there were more resources coming in, it was more important for us to do the quality investments like we're doing with CIS and other partners who are helping us plan for the future, and that we could not be complacent about the efficiency piece. So we have made, every year that I've been here, we have made adjustments to the central office piece in particular. It was a lot of strategy about managing the budget better, but it's also about real cuts. And so we have brought down our general administration percentage to about 4.48%, which is a 30% reduction from just last year. And so, and that's hard because I work with a lot of good people that will be affected by these reductions. It's about 50 positions out of central office, but we feel like it was necessary to continue to push hard for this transition toward an operating model where our resources are really being mostly directed to schools and instruction. We also believe that that part of this further investment has to be about the people, working with the adults. We are fixing those pay parity pieces. We are putting money into salary increases. We are fixing like early childhood education salaries, but we are also saying that it's the people and the infrastructure. So on May 24th, we do have an education SPLOST that is the investment piece for infrastructure, buildings, and capital, and that's about $464 million. It will be on the ballot on May 24th, and we know that as a region, we all use these dollars. DeKalb, Decatur City, Fulton, and Atlanta Public Schools collectively go together to use the 1 penny sales tax to invest in our infrastructure. So when you have the budget and the infrastructure, those are the things we use to invest in our people and the organization. And then I'll say that none of this matters. We can do all that work if we don't, in the end, give children choice-filled lives. So I think that there has always been some good work going on in Atlanta Public Schools, but Angelo Matos, who is from the first graduating class of KIPP this past year, when you talk to him, one, you can tell he's gorgeous, he's brilliant, he's just adorable personality. For those of you who were at the Blank Foundation presentation last night, he's tall, so he's going to make more money when he grows up. That's apparently research. And but seriously, we do have a simple goal of making sure that our students, when they come through from early childhood education programs all the way through the 12th grade, it's a quality experience. They have a diploma that matters, a transcript that means something. They can pick the college that they want to, they can go into careers that they love, and that they can make their contribution to society. I think that it is essential in this culture piece to be sure that APS is actually providing steps and not hurdles for our children to have their hopes and dreams achieved. So it will take more. You heard about the baseline budget. You heard about SPLOST on May 24th. But there's more that needs to be done because APS hasn't completed its entire portfolio of offerings for its school community. So if we can do more high-quality early childhood, if we can have kids reading at or above grade level by 2nd or 3rd grade, if we can have kids graduate with that diploma that gives them the colleges and the careers and the military options of their choice, and if we actually put our arms around them and their families with wraparound services and parent trainings and education, I believe that we can then, with that quality education and support, break the cycle of poverty, break the cycle of ignorance, break the cycle of violence, and break the cycle of corruption in APS so that our kids have those choice-filled lives, and in doing so, even perhaps do our part in ending intergenerational poverty for people in Atlanta. Thank you so much for having me today.